Over the last 25 years, North Shore Christian Centre has established itself as one of Australia's significant churches. For 25 years, this church has been declaring the love of Jesus not only to our community, but to all of Australia and right throughout the world. I so look forward to seeing what God will do over the next 25 years. We give God the glory for what He has done, and in anticipation, we look forward to what He will do. We look forward to partnering with you to see this church grow and become all that God wants it to become.
My first time at North Shore Church was way back in the beginning, 25 years ago, and I was invited to CLC actually in the city by my brother and sister, and we were there for 1 week, and then I was told about the new church starting at the North Shore, and we were part of it. So we came across to the first service. I think it was back at Willoughby Girls High back then. That was 25 years ago, goodness me.
I was thinking about this and I realised that I've actually spent half of my life associated with North Shore Christian Centre, and it's been a fantastic journey and a wonderful experience.
I was one of the original 160 people that came from the City Church Christian Life Centre to start a church on the North Shore. Originally it was going to be one church meeting in two places, but it soon became North Shore Christian Life Centre, and Pastor Sean and Linda Stanton were the senior pastors.
And we kicked off and it was great, it was fantastic. Pastor Sean Stanton was the pastor at the time, and we were there for many years at Willoughby Girls High. And I think, Kim, you came along, I invited you along the second week.
Second week?
I must have been so impressed with the church, we got you along. And
in the beginning, it was a case of all hands on deck.
I started with the church at Willoughby Girls High as a musician.
I started teaching in the children's church.
For 2 years straight, I sang on stage every night, every Sunday night, with just one other person.
Since then, I led life groups.
And later, I became the oversight of the women's ministry in the church, Women for God.
We for a couple of years there, we were youth pastors, and that was under Pastor John and Anne.
I was an area pastor along with my wife Wendy. I was a board member, and more recently I've been a TV producer. So I've done a number of different things in the church, and I've met some amazing people along the way.
These were good days, lots of fun, lots of exciting things happening as we grew. We had battles to win, with the result that there is now a significant church on the North Shore.
During the design of the building, we had the privilege of working with some fantastic people. Guys like Chris Welsh, Dave Stewart-Smith, Rod McGibbon, Lubosh Padjak. I can remember Lubosh walking around the ceiling way above the floor, putting light fittings in and things like that. You have to remember this was late last century, so OH&S was only in its infancy in those days, but we were still pretty careful, and we were also very blessed.
And the memories that you get from that art, they're just beautiful, it's just fantastic.
I was also thinking about some of the people that are actually no longer with us, but yet who were cornerstones of this church. People like Tony Davies, Kathy Lorenzo, Margot Stapleton and Denise Rogers.
It brings me back to you're growing with family. This is church, this is family, this is what it's about. And I suppose for more recently for me being on the board, and that's really something that we probably do as a couple in the sense of Kim's support. But being on the board and just being able to have the honour, I suppose, of overseeing from a management point of view what happens, and the governance point of view what happens with the church, and the responsibility that is. And it really feels as though it's an honour to serve.
Several years ago, as I was approaching my 70th birthday, I thought it was time maybe to step aside, but I had 3 prophetic words. The first one was, "Don't sit down, Helen, because God has put a pin on your seat." The second word was given for a young girl in the church who I admire her prophetic gifting, and she came to me one day and said, "Helen, you've been jogging, it's now time to start running." I already thought I'd been running, but I appreciated her word. And last year I was at a prophetic conference in Adelaide, and a prophet came up to me and just said, "I have one word for you, Helen, accelerate." So I'm in the game as long as I'm needed. I would rather be a part of the game than be a spectator in the stand.
From my point of view, we're not even halfway. There's still so much more to do, and Kim and I constantly sit down year upon year and just seek God about where we're at and what we're doing, and still feel as though very much that we're here. This is our church, and still that sense of excitement of everything that God's got in store for North Shore.
I was waiting on the Lord last night, and I felt that He'd given me this word for the church, and it comes from Esther chapter 8, and I'm reading from verse 8. You remember the story of Esther and how she came before King Ahasuerus with Mordecai. And this is the word that the king said to Esther and to Mordecai. You yourselves write a decree and seal it with the king's signet ring. For whatever is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring, that's his authority, no one can revoke. I feel that as North Shore Christian Centre, we have come to a stage of maturity where God is saying to you, you decree what you would like for the North Shore.
Wendy and I would like to wish North Shore Christian Centre a fantastic 25th anniversary. And as Brian Houston would say, the best is yet to come.